Hey everyone, so don't mind my crazy hair. I wanted to push it back and out of my face because today is finally the eyebrow tutorial that so many people have been asking me about. This is actually going to be one of a few eyebrow tutorials because as I was thinking about it and because I am so particular about my brows, there really are a few ways to show you how to do them and a couple other things that you need to know if you need to shape them. So today's tutorial is meant to show you how to fill in your brows if you already have the shape that you're looking for, but you just need, they're a little sparse, and if you want to use powder. Before we start coloring in brows or anything like that, first we have to figure out where your brows should be. And it's really simple. All you need is a brush, a pen, a makeup brush, and you're going to use that as your guideline. So the first spot that your eyebrow should begin, you're going to be playing pretty much connect the dots, is by taking that pencil and lining it up by the edge of your nose. This is going to be your guideline for everything. So you can line up the edge of your nose, bring it right up past that tear duct and straight up. So you want that line. You're going to hold that there. And where that falls, that should be where your eyebrow starts. If you find that when you hold that brush there, your eyebrow is either missing some space here or it's sticking out a bit, then that tells you either need to remove some from here or fill it in a little bit. The next place that you want to do is the iris, which is the colored part of your eye. At the very edge of that circle, we're still saying at the edge of that nose, you're bringing it up. At the outside of that iris, and right there, that should be the highest part of your brow. And then your brow's ending point should be at, again, the edge of your nose, the edge of your eye. And right there is where your eyebrow should end. And the angle brush that I'm using today is from Sephora. It's their angle liner brush in number 22. And I'm using a chocolate eyeshadow from NYX. Now, when finding what eyebrow color to use, if you want a natural looking brow, you want to aim for a color that's either as close to your natural eyebrow color as possible or one shade lighter. You don't want to go anything too dark. Unless, of course, that's a look that you're aiming for, then go for it. But if you're looking for a natural brow, you want to aim for something that's as close to your natural color as possible or one shade lighter. Now that I have that zoomed in, you can see where my eyebrow naturally falls. It's pretty good space there. So what I'm going to do is, with the longer end of that brush facing outward, I'm going to start at the base of my lash line. And I'm actually going to flick it upward. Staying with that natural line, I'm flicking that upward. And you're mimicking the way that your hair grows. You've got little sparse hairs that either grow upward or outward. Some of you may have hair that grows downward. You just want to mimic the motion in which your hair grows. So that's the first part. Now, what I like to do is I actually like to draw an outline on my eyebrow and then fill them in. So I'm actually going to take that brush, same thing, the longer end is pointing outward, starting at the top of my brow, and I'm going to, with small strokes, again, don't feel like you have to go make one solid line, and I'm just going to color in a line, an outline. If at first when you're doing your brows it seems a little bit much to you, perhaps you like them to look a little bit more natural, and at first you're a little alarmed when filling them because you feel they're too dark, don't worry, that's when we're going to go back in and we're going to brush through them to give them a more natural appearance. Basically all you're doing is just coloring it in. I'm actually following the hairs that I have there, which probably are all of 5 if we counted them, and I'm just bringing it down until I get the color that I want. After you get to a point where you have your eyebrow pretty much colored in, you want to do a couple things. You want to check to see the balance of your brows. Now this is tough because I can never really get my eyebrows exactly the same, and most of us tend to have one eyebrow that cooperates more than the other. But in an effort to make them as symmetrical as possible, you want to do three things. First, you want to look head on to see how everything looks. You want to check, most of all, the space in between the two eyebrows, height-wise and length-wise. Next thing you want to do is you actually want to look down and see that they are symmetrical in that aspect as well. Last thing you want to do is you want to tilt your head back and look at it from underneath to make sure that the arch is the same and the height and the highlight is the same as well. Based upon that, make any adjustments that need be. Now at this point I'm pretty happy with the base that I have, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in and I'm going to make them refine. Now at this point it's up to you what you like to do with your brows. I like very fine, sharp brows. If you like a more natural brow and you don't like them to look so clean and so defined, you may want to skip this part and just simply brush them out. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to brush the color through my brows. I'm going to gently brush it through. And what I want to do is I want to follow the direction that my hair is growing. You're always going to try to push them up and then over, unless of course your hair naturally grows in a downward position, which does happen. So if you're going to keep a natural brow, you're just going to brush this out until you feel comfortable with the pigmentation, and you're going to leave it as is. And what this does, it lets your edges appear a little bit softer. And again, it's just a more natural looking brow. It would emulate the way your hair would grow in naturally. Now again, because I like a more defined brow, I'm going to go in with the concealer brush. You definitely need a concealer brush for this. And you also want to use a concealer that's probably about a shade or two lighter than your natural skin tone, because this is going to help highlight your under eye area and kind of give you an eye lift. It's also a really great way to kind of fake your eyebrow shaping if you haven't had time to have a waxing done or a tweezing done. So I'm going to go ahead and take some concealer right on the edge of that brush. And I'll go ahead and zoom in just a little bit here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that brush and I'm going to take it right underneath of my eyebrow, and I'm going to create a fine line. I'm basically just outlining what I have done. So I'm creating a nice clean edge. Okay, now at first that edge is going to be really obvious, so key to this is definitely making sure that you blend it out. You do not want to leave this so obvious. Oops. Now I'm actually going to go in with my ring finger. I found that blending this with my finger is better because it gets those edges closest to my brow nice and blended in. And what I do is I press in with my finger and kind of blot it into my skin, because that will help blend it without disturbing what I've done with the eyebrow powder. And I'm going to do the same thing for the top of my brow. I'm just going to sharpen up that edge a little bit. And I'm just running it right alongside of where I've shaped my brows with the powder. And I'm bringing it downward. And again, making sure that's blended out. Now you may find that you need to go back in and add a little bit more powder in certain spots. I see that I do. Other side notes when using powder, if you have longer eyebrows where your hair on your eyebrows are a little bit longer and you find that once you get them colored in, the hairs are kind of sticking all over the place or they won't stay put, you can do one of two things. You can use a little bit of eyebrow wax that comes in some of the kits, or to make it easier and something that you can get anywhere is get a little bit of clear mascara and run it through your brows after you've colored them in, and this will help the hair to stay in place. So I really hope that this was helpful. This was the first of a few eyebrow tutorials that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing some using pencil, some using pen. Perhaps I will go ahead and get some stencils just so I can give you an idea on how to do that. And then I'm actually going to do a tutorial on how to wax and shape eyebrows, because this is obviously meant for someone who already has them the shape that they want, but maybe not necessarily the hair that growth that they desire, so therefore they need to color them in. Alright, well, stay tuned for more videos, and if you enjoyed it, please rate, comment, and subscribe. Take care.